Narayan Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudite Nashtupraye Jyavadreku Nityam Bhagavata Seme Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 13, the advent of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 73 onwards. Apatya virahe mishrer dukhi haila mana, putra lagi aradhila Vishnura charan. Jagannath Mishra was very unhappy at the death of his children, one after another. Therefore, desiring a son, he worshipped the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. तबे पुत्र जन्मिला विश्वरूप नाम महागुणवान तेहा बलदेव धाम. After this, Jagannath Mishra got a son of the name Vishwarupa, who was most powerful and highly qualified because he was an incarnation of Baladev. Vishwarup was the elder brother of Gaurhari, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When arrangements were being made for the marriage of Vishwarup, he took sannyas and left home. He took the sannyas name of Shankar Aranya. In 1431 Shakabda era, AD 1509, he disappeared in Pandharpur, in the district of Sholapur. As an incarnation of Sankarshan, he is both the ingredient and immediate cause of the creation of this material world. He is non-different from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for the Ansha and Anshi, or the part and the whole, are not different. As an incarnation of Sankarshan, Vishwarup belongs to the quadruple manifestation of Chaturjuga. In the Gaur Chandrodaya, it is said that Vishwarup, after his so-called demise, remained mixed within Sri Nityanand Prabhu. So Nityanand Prabhu is also Balramji, and Vishwarup is also. But Vishwarup, it is the incarnation of Sankarshan, so he merged in Nityanand Prabhu's body. Baladeva Prakash Param Vyome Sankarshan Teha Vishweru Upadan Nimitta Karam. The expansion of Baladev, known as Sankarshan in the spiritual world, is the ingredient and immediate cause of this material cosmic manifestation. Taha vai Vishwa Kichu Nahi Dekhi Ara Ateva Vishwarupa Nam Ye Tahara. The gigantic universal form is called the Vishwarup, incarnation of Mahasankarshan. So Vishwarup or Virat Rup that we know of. Thus, we do not find anything within this cosmic manifestation except the Lord himself. So everything is energy of the Lord. Neta Chitram Bhagavati Hi Anante Jagadishware Otam Protam Idam Yasmin Tantushva Angu Yathapata. As the threads in a cloth spread both lengthwise and breadthwise, so the Supreme Personality of Godhead exists directly and indirectly within everything we see in this cosmic manifestation. This is not very wonderful for it. This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto. Atev Prabhu Tare Bale Bada Bhai Krishna Balaram Dui Chaitanya Nitai. Because Mahasankarshan is the ingredient and efficient cause of the cosmic manifestation, he is present in every detail of it. Lord Chaitanya therefore called him his elder brother, Bada Bhai. The two brothers are known as Krishna and Balram in the spiritual world, but at the present moment they are Chaitanya and Nitai. Therefore, the conclusion is that Nityanand Prabhu is the original Sankarshan or Baladev. पुत्र पाया दंपति है आनंदित मान विशेष सेवन करे गोविंद चरण. The husband and wife Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Mata, having gotten Vishwarup as his son, were very pleased within their minds. Because of their pleasure, they specifically began to serve the lotus feet of Govinda. There is a common saying in India that everyone goes to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead when he is in distress, but when a person is in an opulent position, he forgets God. In Bhagavad Gita, this is confirmed. Chaturvidha bhajante. If backed by pious activities in the past, four kinds of men, namely those who are distressed, those in need of money, those searching after knowledge, and those who are inquisitive, become interested in devotional service. The husband and wife, Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata, were very unhappy because their 8 daughters had passed away. Now, when they got Vishwarup as their son, certainly they became extremely happy. They knew that it was by the grace of the Lord that they were endowed with such happiness and opulence. Therefore, instead of forgetting the Lord, they became more and more adherent in rendering service to the lotus feet of Govinda. So, because their desire was fulfilled, they didn't stop worshipping. They worshipped him more, worshipped Govinda more and more. When a common man becomes opulent, he forgets God. But the more opulent a devotee becomes by the grace of the Lord, the more he becomes attached to the service of the Lord. Because he knows it's only by the mercy of the Lord I got whatever I have. Chodashat Chaya Shake Shesha Magama se Jagannath Shachir Dehe Krishnera Praveshe. In the month of January in the year 1406 of Shaka era, or AD 1485, Lord Krishna entered the bodies of both Jagannath Mishra and Shachi. So just like Krishna had entered the body of Nanda Baba and then through from in the mind of Nanda Baba and then to his heart, and from his heart he entered the mind of Yashoda or Devaki, I'm sorry, not Nanda Baba, Vasudevji and Devaki. And then he entered the heart of Devaki, the womb of Devaki. And same thing here, Lord Krishna entered the bodies of both Jagannath Mishra and Shachi Devi. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his birth in the year 1407, Shaka era, or AD 1486, in the month of Falgun. But here we see that he entered the bodies of parents in the year of 1406, in the month of Magh, means in January 1485, he entered his parents' body. And he appeared in Falgun, so sometime around March of 1486. Why? Answer is given later. Therefore, the Lord entered the bodies of his parents 13 full months before his birth. Generally, a common child remains within the womb of his mother for 10 lunar months. But here we see that the Lord remained within the body of his mother for 13 months. Mishra kahe sachi sthane dekhi anarita, jyotirmaya deha geha lakshmi adhishtita. Jagannath Mishra said to Sachi Mata, I see wonderful things. Your body is effulgent, and it appears as if the goddess of fortune were now staying personally in my home. Yaha taha sarvalo kare sammana, ghare padhaiya deya, dhana vasradhana. Anywhere and everywhere I go, all people offer me respect. Even without my asking, they voluntarily give me riches, clothing, and paddy. Because he's a Brahman. Brahman means no job. So people would give donation, dan, to the Brahman. But now he's saying, now without my asking, they're giving me everything. A Brahman does not become anyone's servant. To render service to someone else is a business of the Shudras. So Brahman doesn't become servant, Kshatriya, no way, Vaishya, they're in business, they're not serving anybody. So only Shudras take up the jobs. A Brahman is always independent because he is a teacher, spiritual master and advisor to the society. The members of society provide him with all the necessities of life. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says he has divided society into 4 divisions: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. A society cannot run smoothly without this scientific division. A Brahman should give good advice to all the members of society. A Kshatriya should look after the administration, maintaining law and order in society. Vaishyas should produce and trade to meet all the needs of society, whereas Shudras should render service to the higher sections of society, the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. Jagannath Mishra was a Brahman. Therefore, people would send him all bodily necessities, money, cloth, grain, and so on. While Lord Chaitanya was in the womb of Shachi Mata, Jagannath Mishra received all these necessities of life without asking for them. Because of the presence of the Lord in his family, everyone offered him due respect as a Brahman. So even though they didn't know it, the Lord is in the womb of Shachi Mata. So it's when the Lord is there, obviously Lakshmi Ji is there, and attraction for all the opulence will be there automatically. So people will provide, people do provide. In other words, if a Brahman or Vaishnav, Prabhupada says, sticks to his position as an eternal servant of the Lord and executes the will of the Lord, there is no question of scarcity for his personal maintenance or the needs of his family. Very bold statement by Prabhupada. There is no question of scarcity. Krishna will provide. It's not that he will not provide. Only thing is, we execute the will of the Lord, stick to his position as eternal servant. And not just for his personal maintenance. This is what Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj showed. If the devotee is serving in the temple, they stick to the principle. Krishna will provide for the maintenance of the temple, maintenance of the devotees. There was an incident where Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj and his mutt in Calcutta. So Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj saw that all the devotees were working hard to bring in money for the maintenance and operations of the temple. So Bhakti Siddhanta, but they were deviating. They were deviating, or not. Their sadhana was not that good. So Maharaj asked all the sannyasis, all the leaders, and everybody that from tomorrow nobody is going out to collect money. Nothing. Just sit here and chant, do your bhajan. And devotees did protest. They said, if we don't go, how are we going to collect the funds and how the money going to come? Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj said, do you think by your collecting, we are getting the funds? We're getting funds because Krishna is providing. Radharani is providing. They said, okay, that was the order of Maharaj, so they all sat down. So first day, no donation, nobody came to give anything, but they had some in the store, so the temple operations went on. Second day, nothing happened, and they were getting little uncomfortable. But third day, when people saw how nearby people, neighbors, this one, the sadhus are not going anywhere. So who's taking care of them? So the neighbors started bringing items. So Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj wanted to make sure that we understand it's not by our going and collecting Krishna is providing. Krishna can provide unlimitedly. He is a Bhoktaram Yajna Tapsam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. What's so difficult for him? Only thing is, if we stick to our duties and execute the will of the Lord, which is the first duty is to chant, do our bhajan properly. That's the first and foremost duty. If we do that, then there's nothing that can lack in devotee's life, personal life and temple life also. There's nothing. Of course, Krishna it depends on him, how much he provides for the greed, but for the need, definitely he'll take care. Shachi kahe mui dekho akasha upaye divya murti loka sabha yena stuti kare. Shachi Mata told her husband, I see wonderfully brilliant human beings appearing in outer space, as if offering prayers. Jagannath Mishra was honored by everyone on the earth and was supplied with all necessities. Similarly, Mother Shachi saw many demigods in outer space offering prayers to her because of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's presence in her womb. And this demigods also showed up and offered prayers to Mother Devaki in the jail. Not to Mother Devaki, but also to Krishna within the womb of Mother Devaki. So they did offer prayers. And here Shachi Mata was also seeing the demigods in outer space offering prayers. Jagannath Mishra kahe swapna ye dekhila jyotirmay dham mor hriday pashila. Jagannath Mishra then replied, in a dream I saw the effulgent abode of the Lord enter my heart. Amara hriday haite gela tomar hriday hena bujhi janmi vena kona mahashaya. From my heart it entered your heart. I therefore understand that a great personality will soon take birth. Etabali duhe rahe harashitahaya shaligram seva kare vishesha kariya. After this conversation, both husband and wife are very jubilant, and together they render service to the household Shaligram Shila. Especially in every Brahman's house, there must be a Shaligram Shila to be worshipped by the Brahman family. This system is still current. People who are Brahmins by caste, who are born in a Brahman family, must worship the Shaligram Shila. Unfortunately, with the progress of Kali Yuga, the so-called Brahmins, although very proud of taking birth in Brahman families, no longer worship the Shaligram Shila. But actually, it has been a custom since time immemorial that a person born in a Brahman family must worship the Shaligram Shila in all circumstances. In our Krishna Consciousness Society, some of the members are very anxious to introduce worship of the Shaligram Shila, but we have purposely refrained from introducing it because most of the members of Krishna Consciousness Movement do not originally come from families of the Brahman caste. After some time, when we find that they're actually situated strictly in the line of Brahminical behavior, Shaligram Shila worship will be introduced. So why? Because Shaligram Shila is an installed deity. We don't need to install, just start worshipping. So very, very powerful Shila, very powerful deity. So one has to be very careful also in serving. In this age, the worship of Shaligram Shila is not as important as the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. That is the injunction of Shastra. Hare Ranam, Hare Ranam, Hare Ranam eva kevalam. Kalo nastev, 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 gatiranyata. Srila Jiva Goswami's opinion is that by chanting the holy name offenselessly, one becomes completely perfect. Nevertheless, just to purify the situation of the mind, worship of the deity in the temple is also necessary. Therefore, when one is advanced in spiritual consciousness or is perfectly situated on the spiritual platform, he may take to the worship of Shaligram Shila. So it is important to worship the deities, especially for householders. In every house, there should be a temple in the house where they worship the deities. The transference of the Lord from the heart of Jagannath Mishra to the heart of Shachi Mata is explained by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur as follows. It is to be concluded that Jagannath Mishra and Shachi Mata are Nitya Siddhas, ever pure associates of the Lord. Their hearts are always uncontaminated, and therefore they never forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A common man in this material world has a contaminated heart. We all know. So many material desires are there. He must therefore first purify his heart to come to the transcendental position. But Jagannath Mishra and Sachimanta were not a common man and women with contaminated hearts. When the heart is uncontaminated, it is said to be in the existential position of Vasudeva, or Vasudeva Sattva. We read that about that in Bhagavatam. Shuddha Sattva or Vasudeva Sattva. Vasudeva can beget Vasudeva. or Krishna, who is transcendently situated. So when we are in that position, then Vasudev can enter our heart. It is to be understood that Shachi Devi did not become pregnant as an ordinary woman, because ordinary woman becomes pregnant because of sense indulgence. One should not think the pregnancy of Shachi Mata to be that of an ordinary woman, because that is an offense. One can understand the pregnancy of Shachi Mata when one is actually advanced in spiritual consciousness and fully engaged in the devotion service of the Lord. See, I mean, not just the pregnancy of Shachi Mata. People just make comments about Krishna's pastimes, Ras Lila, or this or that, and on Radharani, which is way beyond our puny little minds. And that's what Prabhupada says, it is an offense. We cannot understand, we cannot comment until we are at that level of advanced spiritual consciousness. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated, Bhagwan api vishvatma bhaktanam abhayam kara aviveshamsha bhagena mana anak dundube. This is a statement regarding the birth of Lord Krishna. The incarnation of the Lord entered the mind of Vasudeva and was then transferred to the mind of Devaki. Srila Shrita Swami gives the following annotation in this connection. Man avivesha manasi avirabhav babhuva jivanam ivana dhatu sambandhaiti artha. There was no question of the seminal discharge necessary for the birth of an ordinary human being. Srila Rupa Goswami also comments in this connection that Lord Krishna first appeared in the mind of Anak Dundubi, another name of Vasudevji, and was then transferred to the mind of Devaki Devi. Thus, the spiritual bliss in the mind of Devaki Devi gradually increased, just as the moon increases every night until it becomes a full moon. At the time of his appearance, Lord Krishna came out of the mind of Devaki and appeared within the prison house of Kamsa by the side of Devaki's bed. At that time, by the spell of Yogamaya, Devaki thought that her child has now been born. In this connection, even the demigods from the celestial kingdom were also bewildered, as it is stated, Muyanti yatta Surya. So even the demigods are bewildered. How is this happening? How is Lord taking birth here? And how Ajanma is taking Janma. Krishna is Ajanma, actually. They came to offer their prayers to Devaki, thinking that the Supreme Lord was within her womb. The demigods came to Mathura from their celestial kingdom. This indicates that Mathura is still more important than the celestial kingdom of the upper planetary system. Why? Because Krishna appeared in Mathura. Lord Krishna, as the eternal son of Yashoda Mai, is always present in Vrindavan. The pastimes of Lord Krishna are continuously going on within both this material world and the spiritual world. In such pastimes, the Lord always thinks himself the eternal son of Mother Yashoda and Father Nanda Maharaj. In 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated, when magnanimous, broad-hearted Nanda Maharaj came back from a tour, he immediately took his son Krishna on his lap and experienced transcendental bliss by smelling his head, just like any father does for his little son when he comes back from, say, office or from outside, wherever. Then he loves to play with his son or smell his head. It's natural, and because it comes from Nanda Baba. Similarly, in 10th canto, 9th chapter, verse 21, it is said, the personality of Godhead appearing as the son of a cowherd damsel is easily available and understandable to devotees, whereas those who are under the concept of bodily life, even though they were very much advanced in austerity and penance, or even though they are great philosophers, are unable to understand him. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur next quotes Sripad Baldev Vidyabhushan, who refers to the prayers offered by the demigods to Lord Krishna in the womb of Devaki and summarizes the birth of Krishna as follows. As the rising moon manifests light in the east, so Devaki, who was always situated on the transcendental platform, having been initiated in the Krishna mantra by Vasudev, the son of Shursena, kept Krishna within her heart. From this statement of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is understood that Supreme Personality of Godhead, having been transferred from the heart of Anak Dundubi or Vasudev, manifested himself in the heart of Devaki. According to Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, the heart of Devaki means the womb of Devaki, because in Srimad Bhagavatam, the demigod says, Dishyam te kukshi gata parapoma. Mother Devaki, the Lord is already within your womb. Therefore, that the Lord was transferred from the heart of Vasudeva to the heart of Devaki means that he was transferred to the womb of Devaki. So Prabhupada is writing his long purport so that we understand it properly and not make a mistake. Similarly, in regard to the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the word Visheshe Sevanakare Govindachara. They specifically began to worship the lotus feet of Govinda, indicate that exactly as Krishna appeared in the heart of Devaki through the heart of Vasudeva, so Lord Chaitanya appeared in the heart of Shachi Devi through the heart of Jagannath Mishra. This is the mystery of the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Consequently, one should not think of Lord Chaitanya's appearance as that of a common man or living entity. This subject matter is little difficult to understand, but for devotees of the Lord, it will not at all be difficult to realize the statements given by Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami. So, important to understand, it is difficult, little difficult. How is this happening? But at least we start off with, okay, yeah, it is possible. What's so difficult? But then realizations will come later on. Haite haite hela garva treyodash mas tathapi bhumishta nahe mishrera hailatras. In this way, the pregnancy approached its 13th month, but still there was no sign of the delivery of the child. Thus Jagannath Mishra became greatly apprehensive. Nilambara Chakravarti Kahila Ganiya Ei Mase Putra Habe Shubhakshana Paya. So Nilambara Chakravarti, who was the father of Shachimata, he was a great astrologer. Nilambar Chakravarti, the grandfather of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then did an astrological calculation and said that in that very month, taking advantage of an auspicious moment, the child would take birth. So he was waiting for this auspicious moment to come, to appear. So he's completely independent in his pastimes. Whatever he wants, he can do. So sometimes devotees say, okay, then why did he come in the womb of Shachimata 13 months earlier? Why not? Okay, from the auspicious time, go back 10 months. Then why didn't he appear like that? Well, it's up to the Lord. Whatever he wants, he can do. Choda Shat Shat Shake Masa Ye Falguna Purna Mashir Sandhya Kale Haila Shubhakshan. Thus, in the year 1407 of the Shaka era, AD 1486, in the month of Falgun, February, March, in the evening of the full moon day, so it was Gaur Purnima, the desired auspicious moment arrived. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrit Prabha Bhashya has presented the horoscope of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as follows. So he has given the horoscope. The explanation of the horoscope given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur is that at the time of the birth of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the planets were situated as follows. Shukra or Venus was in Mesh Rashi, And Nakshatra lunar mansion of Ashwini, Ketu, the ninth planet, was in Simha Rashi and Uttara Falguni. Chandra, the moon, was in Purva Falguni, the 11th lunar mansion. Shani, Saturn was in Vrishchik Rashi, Scorpio and Jyeshtha. Brihaspati, Jupiter, was in Dhanu Rashi, Sagittarius and Purva Shada. Mangal or Mars was in Makar Rashi, Capricorn and Shravana. Ravi, the sun, was in Kumbh Rashi, Aquarius and Purva Bhadrapada. Rahu was in Purva Bhadrapada and Buddha, Mercury, was in Meena Rashi, Pisces. The Lagna was Singha Rashi. No, I'm not an astrologer, so I don't know what it all means. Simha Rashi, Simha Lagna, Ucha Graha Gana, Shada Varga, Ashta Varga, Sarva Sulakshan. According to the Jyotir Veda or Vedic astrology, the auspicious birth moment is described as follows. The moon was in Leo, the figure of the lion in the zodiac. Leo was the ascendant. Several planets were strongly positioned, and Shadvarga and Ashtavarga showed all auspicious influences. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who was previously a great astrologer, explains this verse as follows. The Shadvarga, 6 divisions, are technically called Kshetra, Hora, Drikan, Navamsha, Dvadansha, and Trishansha. According to Jyotir Vedic astrology, when the relationship between the planets and the rulers of these 6 divisions is determined, the auspiciousness of the moment of birth can be calculated. In the book named Brihad Jatak and other books, there are directions for interpreting the movements of the stars and planets. One who knows the process of calculating the Ashtavarga, 8 divisions, can predict auspicious and inauspicious events. This science is known especially by persons who are called the Hora Shastra Vid, or those who know the astrological scriptures. On the strength of astrological calculation from Hora Shastra scriptures, Nilamba Chakravarti, the grandfather of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, had ascertained the auspicious moment when the Lord would appear. So precise calculations they can make at that time. Akalanka Gaura Chandra Dila Darashan, Sakalanka Chandrayar Kona Prayojan. When the spotless moon of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became visible, so Chaitanya Chandra, he's also known Chaitanya Chandra, what would be the need for a moon full of black marks on its body? Eta Jani Rahu Kaila Chandre Ragrahan, Krishna, Krishna Hari Name Bhasha Tribhuvan. Considering this, Rahu, the black planet, covered the full moon, and immediately vibrations of Krishna, Krishna, Hari inundated the 3 worlds. So even Rahu is a servant of Krishna. So he thought when Chaitanya Chandra, the full moon of Chaitanya Chandra has appeared, what's the use of this moon with all the black spots on it? Let me cover it. According to Jyotir Veda, lunar eclipse takes place when Rahu planet comes in front of the full moon. It is customary in India that all the followers of the Vedic scriptures bathe in the Ganges or the sea as soon as there is lunar or solar eclipse. All strict followers of the Vedic religion stand up in the water throughout the whole period of the eclipse and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. At the time of birth of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, such a lunar eclipse took place, and naturally, all the people standing in the water were chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Dhvani Haila Sakala Bhuvan, Chamatkar Haya Loka Bhave Mane Mana. All people thus chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra during the lunar eclipse, and their minds were struck with wonder. So in the middle of all this, when everybody was chanting, at least in Navadvip, Mahaprabhu appeared. Jagat Bhariya Loka Bale Hari Hari, Saikshane Gaura Krishna Bhumi Avatari. When the whole world was thus chanting the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, in the form of Gaur Hari, advented himself on the earth. प्रसन्न हैला सब जग तेरा माना, हरि बलि हिंदू के हास्य करे यवाना. The whole world was pleased while the Hindus chanted the holy name of the Lord. The non-Hindus, especially the Muslims, jokingly imitated the words. Although Muslims and non-Hindus have no interest in chanting the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the Muslims in Navadvip imitated the Hindus as they chanted during the lunar eclipse. So they also imitated, although they were making fun of Hindus. Thus the Hindus and Muslims joined together in chanting the holy name of the Lord when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu invented himself. Hari Bali Narigena De Hula Huli Swarge Vadya Nritya Kare Deva Kutuhali. While all the ladies vibrated the holy name of Hari on earth, in the heavenly planets, dancing and music was going on, for the demigods were very curious. Prasanna Haila Dashadik Prasannadi Jana Sthavara Jangama Haile Anande Vivana. In this atmosphere, all the 10 directions became jubilant, as did the waves of the rivers. Moreover, all beings, moving and non-moving, were overwhelmed with transcendental bliss. The Supreme Lord himself has appeared, and especially he has come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, most munificent person. Nadia Udayagiri Purnachandra Gorhari Kripa Kari Haila Uday Pap Tama Haile Nash Tri Jagatera Ulla Jag Bhari Hari Dhvani Hai. Thus by his causeless mercy, the full moon Gorhari rose in the district of Nadia, which is compared to Udaygiri, where the sun first becomes visible. His rising in the sky dissipated the darkness of sinful life, and thus the three worlds became joyful and chanted the holy name of the Lord. Saikale Nijale Uthiya Dvaitaraye Nitya Karyana Nitamane Haridase Laya Sange Hunkara Kirtana Range Kene Nache Keha Nahi Jane. At that time, Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu in his own house at Shantipur was dancing in a pleasing mood. Taking Haridas Thakur with him, he danced and loudly chanted Hare Krishna. But why they were dancing, no one could understand. Only they knew Mahaprabhu has appeared or Krishna has appeared. It is understood that Advaita Prabhu at that time was in his own paternal house at Shantipur. Haridas Thakur frequently used to meet him. Coincidentally, therefore, he was also there. And upon the birth of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, both of them immediately began to dance. But no one in Shantipur could understand why those two saintly persons were dancing. Dekhiyo parag hasi, shigra ganga ghate asi, anand deka rila ganga sna. Payo parag chale, apanar manu bale, brahmaner dil nanadam. Seeing the lunar eclipse and laughing, Advaita Acharya and Haridas Thakur immediately went to the bank of the Ganges and bathed in the river in great jubilation. Taking advantage of the occasion of the lunar eclipse, Advaita Acharya, by his mental strength, distributed various types of charity to the Brahmins. So in mind only he did. It is the custom of Hindus to give in charity to the poor as much as possible during the time of lunar or solar eclipse. Advaita Acharya, therefore, taking advantage of this eclipse, distributed many varieties of charity to the Brahmins. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a statement that when Krishna took his birth, Vasudeva immediately took advantage of this moment and distributed 10,000 cows to the Brahmins. It is customary among Hindus that at the time a child is born, especially a male child, the parents distribute great charity and jubilation. Advaita Acharya was actually interested in distributing charity because of Lord Chaitanya's birth at the time of lunar eclipse. People could not understand, however, why Advaita Acharya was giving such a great variety of things in charity. He did so not because of the lunar eclipse, but because of Lord's taking birth at that moment. He distributed charity exactly as Vasudeva did at the time of Lord Krishna's appearance. Although it's a wonderful pastime going on, but I guess we have to stop here. We'll take it up tomorrow. See anybody have any questions or comments.
Very nice, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Beautiful.
It is very sweet.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. Chalo, you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.